Welcome, everyone, to the very first episode of the iaedp Foundation podcast, sponsored by My Clear Step. I'm Dawn Gannon, the Executive Director of the iaedp Foundation, and I'm so pleased to have you with us today. So we're kicking things off with a very special guest, our Foundation's President, Dr. Eva Trujillo. Eva, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Dawn. I'm honored to be here and excited to share more about what's ahead for the iaedp Foundation.
Thanks, Eva. We've launched this podcast to create a space for meaningful conversations around our mission, the work we're doing, and the broader field of eating disorder treatment and education. Today, we're going to start with a high-level look at where the iaedp Foundation is headed over the next few years and how we're engaging with global efforts like World Eating Disorders Action Day. Eva, as president, you've brought incredible leadership and vision to our work. Looking ahead to the remainder of your term, which ends in February 2027, how do you envision iaedp evolving as an organization?
Well, thank you so much, Dawn. First, let me say what an honor it is to join you for this very first episode of the iaedp Foundation podcast. I love that it feels like, as we said behind the scenes, a coffee with a friend, because that's truly what this community has been for me. It's a network of passionate, dedicated professionals who care deeply about changing lives. So, looking ahead, my vision for iaedp is rooted in three pillars: transparency, inclusion, and global relevance. And as an organization, we have grown in size, scope, and reputation, but we are now being called to grow in depth, diversity, and accessibility. One of the most urgent tasks we face is bridging gaps between countries, gaps in professional training, gaps in access to care, gaps in understanding the evolving needs of our field. So my vision for iaedp is to become a truly global organization that reflects the richness of voices, the cultures, and experiences that make up the eating disorder field today. We are already present in regions like Latin America, Mexico, many other places in Latin America, the Middle East, Europe, and Asia, but we need to go further. And what I mean by that is that we need to create resources and certifications that are linguistically and culturally adapted. We need to partner with local leaders and organizations who know the unique realities of their communities, and we need to open the pathways for professionals from underrepresented regions to gain recognition and legitimacy through meaningful and evidence-based education. And at the same time, we must modernize. What I mean with that is that we need to we need to improve our digital presence, strengthening how we communicate, expanding our podcast and online learning tools, and creating more spaces for engagement, not just for professionals, but for students, caregivers, life experience people, and everyone in the field who is interested in moving forward. And another part of my vision is strengthening collaborative leadership. I deeply believe we are stronger when we share space. During my term, I want to make sure that iaedp becomes a place where diverse leadership can thrive and where chapters from around the world don't just join the conversation, but they shape it. And of course, I cannot speak about the future of iaedp without highlighting the importance of ethical and high quality training. Since the pandemic, we have seen an explosion of online courses, many of which lack of the scientific foundation or clinical supervision required to truly prepare professionals to work in this field. And this is especially evident in regions like Latin America, where I live, and I had testified firsthand. And the infrastructure we need the infrastructure to change this narrative. We must ensure that our CEDS certification remains the gold standard, globally respected and inclusive of the highest ethical standards. And ultimately, I want iaedp to stand for excellence, compassion, integrity, and global belonging. That is because that is what the future calls us for. And of course, I cannot do this without our extraordinary executive director and all her staff members.
Thank you, Ava. That's inspiring. We all appreciate that. We appreciate your vision. There was a couple of things that you mentioned. One was international collaboration. You talked about transparency. You talked about ethical education. You talked about being that voice and building those deeper relationships, which all of which are extremely important. So, how do we, as the foundation, how do we do that with other organizations? And I asked that question based on your service as the co-chair of the World Eating Disorders Action Day, which is on June 2nd. We are obviously participating, but how do we help heal the community? There's so many differences within our community and different organizations. How do we, as the foundation, help build that collaboration and help kind of heal those divisions within the field?
Well, that's such a key point. Expanding international collaboration is not just about presence, it's about co construction. We're moving away from a model of exporting education to one of mutual development. So, we're doing a lot of things within the IADET Foundation. First, we're listening. Before we implement any program, we're spending time with international leaders to understand their systems, their barriers, their values, and their existing knowledge. And this builds trust. We're also working on translating and adapting materials. We have begun translating, our certification content to Spanish, and we're also working on adapting it to regional realities. And this is not just about language, it's about context. How you treat a patient with ARFID in Brazil is not the same as in the rural India or urban LA. So we need to work on that, and we're doing it right now. We're also creating local and regional educational pathways. We're encouraging our leaders in other countries and regions to develop their educational structure supported by IADEP standards, led by local professionals, and this will increase sustainability. And of course, what we have been talking a lot is about expanding our digital access. We're building more. We want to build more hybrid learning options to reduce costs and geographic barriers. And this will allow more professionals to pursue certification and continuing education without the need to travel. But of course, always an in-person reunion or conference or meeting is needed for this big compassionate and careful network of professionals we had built. So this vision directly strengthens our certification program because we want to increase credibility, inclusiveness, and diversity of clinical voices. Because we want to tell professionals everywhere, you belong here. Your work matters and your context is valid. So it also aligns perfectly with my role as co-chair of World Eating Disorders Action Day, because World Eating Disorders Action Day, it's a this is a movement that was started in 2016 as a grassroots initiative and has now become a global movement with over 60 countries and around 300 organizations participating each year. And it has been one of the greatest privilege of my career to be part of the steering committee and be co-chairing it for the past years. So what makes World Eating Disorders Action Day unique is its heart. It is driven by people with life experience, caregivers, clinicians, researchers, and advocates who come together to amplify a common message. And that is what IADEP wants to join. This is what this same heart is what IADEP has been working with, and what we want to span, and we want to continue growing with all this community.
Thank you so much, Eva, for sharing your vision and your insights, and for really giving World Eating Disorders Action Day a better face, a better description of what it is and how it was built, and how the community comes together to take action in the things that we can do. And as you say, the iaedp Foundation, our goal is to continue to do that every day, and we really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of World Eating Disorders Action Day. It's clear that we have an exciting path ahead, and that the foundation is well positioned to make a lasting global impact. But we can only do so with your leadership and that of our members and our support team and our partners. And we thank everyone who is a part of the foundation for walking this journey with us, because it is a journey. It's an evolution. It's not going to end at the end of World Eating Disorders Action Day. It continues every day. But as we close, we want to invite all our listeners to join us in supporting World Eating Disorders Action Day. There will be many people at the UN in New York, including Eva and several others that you may know in the eating disorders field, talking about World Eating Disorders Action Day. It's a global movement, and it's a powerful opportunity to raise awareness, to reduce stigma, and advocate for equitable access to treatment and to support for all those affected by eating disorders. Whether you're a professional, go ahead, Eva.
Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to add that this year's theme is breaking bias and supporting families on learning what we think we know about eating disorders. And I want to add that it speaks to the very heart of what we're discussing today. Bias continues to shape who is seen, who is helped, and who is hurt. And people are still misdiagnosed or overlooked because they are not sick enough, or they don't look the part. So and families are still blamed instead of empowered. Professionals in larger bodies or outside Western models are still questioned or excluded. So with this movement, with the World Eating Disorders Action Days, we challenge those narratives. We are working on highlighting the 9 truths about eating disorders. We share real life stories from people around the world, and we advocate for education that is inclusive, trauma informed, weight neutral, and culturally humble. So this year, we're also asking cities to light up in purple, organizations to host awareness events, and individuals to amplify our message online. And iaedp is probably one of the official affiliate organizations of World Eating Disorders Action Day. So it's a perfect example of how professional associations and global advocacy can work together. So I don't want to leave this podcast without telling you that that this is the way we need to move forward. I truly believe that the future of iaedp is not about choosing between the local or the global, between science or community, or between experience and training. It's about bringing those pieces together in ethical, meaningful, and sustainable ways. So I hope that as we move forward, iaedp becomes a beacon of unity, of quality, and of purpose. And that we never forget what we do matters, not just in clinics and conferences, but in lives, in families, and in futures. So thank you. Thank you for doing this first podcast for us, for our community. I know this was your initiative, and for helping us with all the sponsorship we got. And I invite everyone to join us to the iaedp Foundation and to our movement of the World Eating Disorders Action Day. So sorry to interrupt you, but I needed to say that.
No. But you know what? Actually, it kind of, I heard something in what you just said, which actually really combines one of the questions that I asked you about divisions in the field, and as you were talking about different biases and different perceptions. But as you were talking about the tools that are available, the 9 truths, which came from AED, there are some other, I heard some verbiage that came from Feast for families. I heard some verbiage from NEDA. So there are so many other organizations that we as a collective body can work together. And that's what I meant by how do we heal as a community? We heal by using the strengths that we each have to make a difference. And I'm really thankful that we are going to get to be a part of that. So thank you for allowing us to go in that direction. So really quick towards the end, whether you who are listening are a professional in this field, you're someone with lived experience, or a supporter of our mission, as Eva said, your voice matters. Get involved. Share some of our resources. Come be part of the conversation. We would love to have you to join us. We're also excited to share that this episode marks the launch of our monthly podcast series. So we invite you to join us next month when our regular host, Kyle Woodson, will be with us. And he's going to continue the conversation with Dr. Trujillo, this time focusing on her advice for young professionals entering the field. If you're a young professional, or even if you're mid-career, or maybe if you're towards the end of your career, I absolutely guarantee this will be an interesting podcast for you to listen to in July. But of course, stay tuned with us at the iaedp Foundation. You can follow us on social media, visit our website at iaedpfoundation.com, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We're so looking forward to growing with you guys in this space. Thanks for tuning in. We're just getting started. Once again, thanks to our sponsor, My Clear Step. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.